wonderful morning to you wherever you're listening to the sound of my voice. My name is Stephen Adedigba. I'm your anchor man on the show, The Discourse, on omoluwabi 87.7 FM. The Discourse is that show where we dissect some of the major national issues making the round across numerous newspapers. We dissect them, we analyze them, we take expert opinion. And of course, you, our listener, tend to share your thoughts and of course views as regarding some of those issues. Today won't be an exception of the show, today being the 24th day in the month of August. It's just 2 minutes gone past the hour of 9. Live here from Omoluwabi 87.7 FM studios, here from Mokola Hill in the city of Ibadan. You know how we do it on a weekly basis, so you could get to tell many of your friends, families, and of course colleagues to be a part of the show this morning. Like I said earlier, you also have the privilege and of course opportunity to share your thoughts and opinions, your views about some of the issues we are definitely going to be discussing on the show this morning. Like I said, let's start with this quote. Nations like plants and human beings grow, and if the development is thwarted, they are dwarfed and overshadowed. Claude Marquet said this. So we are like plants, and if we must grow, we all have a role to play. You and I do have a role to play. And that leads us to some of the focus on the show this morning. But just before then, let me bring in Professor Wale Akinyemi. Prof, it's great having you on the show this morning.
It's great to be here, Icon. Good morning. Happy weekend to our listeners.
Thank you very much. It's a it's a rainy day in the city. Prof, how do you feel?
Well, the weather is cool. Rain is a necessity, so we thank God for it.
But don't you think, let's start on that lighter note, don't you think things are changing? You know, we used to have August break, but you know, it keeps raining daily, and I don't know, is there an issue with the climate?
Of course, it is an issue with the climate, because it's this warm house effect that is affecting the environment generally. So the northern pole is melting seriously, and because of that, it's shedding a lot of water into the oceans. And as more as the level of the oceans are rising, the more the weather continues to change.
Absolutely. And of course, to our listeners at home, you should also play a role in that. You know, Mother Earth, we all have a role to play. Those of us that are fond of polluting the air by burning some of our refuges, you know, Ministry of Environment across different states are taking numerous efforts in that regard. You know, in our state, we've seen some of the efforts of the Ministry of Environment. I mean, trying to ensure that the lives of people are safe. So for individuals whose efforts are tilted in the direction of always polluting the air with some of your waste, you know, some of those things could affect the climate. You have a role to play. I do have a role to play. For some of our listeners who want to join us, you can listen via Radio Garden. Just go on Radio Garden and search Omoluwabi Radio. Hey, Mr. Tayo, so sorry. It's a rainy day. And, you know, you can also watch us live on Facebook at Omoluwabi 87.7 FM. Mr. Tayo Ajewale joins us live in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning, Icon. Good morning, Ibadan. Good morning.
It's a rainy day.
It's a rainy day, and it's been raining since yesterday, and then we can't just cheat nature.
Absolutely.
Nature has to
Absolutely.
perform its own duty.
Yeah, let's move forward to our focus today. You know, we used to tell some of our listeners on a weekly basis, we bring some of those stories that have made it to the fore of national discussion, and we have two of such stories that we are going to be dissecting today. Spotlighting the one-year activities of federal ministers and ministries. That's our very first focus. And just after that, we underscore the judicial system under Ariwola, now in the hands of Kekere Ekun. as sworn in by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu just yesterday after his working visit to France. What are some of those things that this new administration under Kekere Ekun would be able to achieve? And what were some of the achievements of Ariwola when he served as the Chief Justice of the nation? Basically, we want to touchlight some of the activities of federal ministers and, of course, ministries in the last 1 year. And, a list was released by the presidency in relation to some of the ministers. We have Nyesom Wike at the Home of Affairs as the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory. We have Festus Keyamo as the head of the Aviation Ministry. Dele Alake is in charge of Solid Minerals Ministry. We have Wale Edun, who serves as the Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy. Adegboyega Oyetola, the former governor of Osun State, in charge of Transportation. David Umahi, is it transport? Not transport. That's blue rail economy. We have David Umahi in charge of Works. Festus Keyamo, Aviation and Aerospace. We have the suspended minister, Betta Hedu, Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation. The president reserved the Minister of Environment and Ecological Management for Kaduna State. You would recall that there were several ministries that were newly created. We have 2 ministers at the Home of Affairs in charge of youth activities. We have the Minister of Sports differently, Professor Wale Akinyemi. Let's consider some of those developments as regarding issues in relation to the ministries and, of course, the ministers in the last 1 year. What would you make of this?
Well, thank you very much. It's surprising that despite the fact that we have a cabinet of over maybe 40 ministers, it's about 5 of them that I can talk about their performance, really. We take the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike. In spite of the problem he is creating in the River State, he's been able to make marked difference in the administration of the Federal Capital Territory. Now, if you take, there are some evidences, landmark projects that have been undertaken under Wike. If you take Minister Edun, the coordinating Minister of the Economy and Minister of Finance, he is the one that the bulk of the responsibility of administration has been upon him. The fiscal economy of this Nigeria, our monetary policies and everything rests on his table. And we're talking about it. We cannot but talk about Cardoso, even though he's not a minister. He's occupying a very, very important position as the central bank governor. One minister that has a very, very high profile in terms of performance is the Minister of Immigration, the young minister who is
Minister of Interior,
Bumi Ojo. He's performed very, very well. And I believe his colleagues will be able to learn from him. Dele Alake is doing a whole lot of work in the Ministry of Solid Mineral Resources, but it has not translated into visible things that you can read in terms of performance. David Umahi is another minister that has performed very, very well, especially with the Coastal Road project and the maintenance of federal projects across the country. If you take these 5 or 6 people out of the whole thing, well, I don't know what you want to say about the Ministry of Power, for example. I don't know what we want to say about Ministry of Petroleum Resources. I don't know what we want to say about the Ministry of External Affairs. It's as if we don't even have somebody in charge of external affairs in Nigeria, So, but let me stop at that for now.
Okay, Prof, you said some very, very salient things. You've raised very salient points. The Minister of Power, Bayo Adelabu, was in Ibadan last week, Saturday, and he read out some of the activities that they've been able to do. We listened on some platforms, and he said numerous things as regarding what they've been able to achieve. 5,000 megawatts, Tayo? He said.
When I hear stuff like
I want to hear from you.
When I
you listened to.
When I hear stuff like 5,000 megawatts and I'll take Nigeria.
And we would have about 6,000 before the end of the year.
Even at 6,000, and I check Nigeria, over 250 million people, 36 states.
With the FCT.
With the FCT, 5,000 megawatts, 6,000 megawatts at this level. Is this what we are still talking about at this time? But then, like many have said, maybe we should rate the Minister of Power very well at this point. Probably we are having a relatively good power supply at this moment. But then, some people have argued too that during this period in Nigeria, we would usually have a power supply would be good in some areas due to heavy downpour and the likes like that. But I would say, Nigerians are still expecting more because, like Oliver Twist, it's always about more. We want more from the power ministry because it's just so sad. Like we were discussing yesterday on the program with Prof. Like we need a total overhauling on that sector because that sector, a lot of things are going on in that sector because I'm talking about, are you talking about metering, talking about power supply, talking about power generation, talking about power distribution, all of those things, you realize that there are so many shady dealings going on in that sector, just like the petroleum sector. And then you ask the question, why are we not being transparent enough as regards some of the things we do? Today, the minister will come and say we've currently on 5,000 megawatts and we've been able to achieve that feat. And then tomorrow you come again and they say that the national grid has collapsed. And then you ask the questions. Some of these things, they don't relate, they don't match. So let us be transparent enough. Let us know what's going on exactly. At some point, we had some contracts with some foreign countries. We had, I can remember, Siemens and the like that. But then, up until this moment, we are still battling with power in this country. So we want not just coming to tell us that we've been able to generate power 5,000 pounds. What are the plans? What do you have for the future? In the next 10 years, what are we projecting? What are you looking at? How are we going to revitalize that sector? Not just you coming out to make some political statement about we've been able to excuse us. But Nigeria shouldn't be happy about 5,000 at this point in time. We are supposed to be gone. We are supposed to have gone more than that, beyond that level at this point in time.
Let me also reiterate that the last time we had population census was 2006.
2006, exactly. We were supposed to have one in 2022 after the election, but then there's a lot of
it seems nobody's talking about
a lot of
the fund has been released.
Definitely.
Tire.
But then it has been shifted to a date we don't know yet.
We don't know yet. Okay. The reason I said that is on the grounds of the expectation of Nigerians. You cannot even plan for the people you don't have their data. You don't know. And that's why I had to reiterate that. Professor Wole Akinyemi, considering the Ministry of Power, we've seen relatively improvement in some sectors. The minister has said numerous things in that regard. He said that efforts are ongoing by the present administration to ensure that before the end of this year, we hit 6,000 megawatts. Is this a step in the right direction? Is this truly what Nigerians so desire at this point in time? Professor Wole Akinyemi.
Nigeria is the largest economy, Africa, south of the Sahara. The other economy that can compete with Nigeria is Egypt and South Africa. Now, let us start by looking at the power generation in Egypt and the power generation in South Africa. If you look at it and you compare, then you now see that 5,000 or 6,000 megawatts is not something Nigeria should be proud of at all. And it will shock you that Nigeria is still sharing this power with some neighboring countries, despite the fact that we don't even have sufficiency in Nigeria. So that is another consideration on its own. I know that Nigeria is compelled or obliged to share power with Niger Republic because of the River Niger. Because if they dam River Niger from their country, then there won't be any water in Nigeria. So that is understandable. But sharing power with Cameroon or with Republic of Benin, I think it needs to be re-evaluated. There is a whole lot to be done, not only in the power ministry, but in virtually all the ministries. Yeah. Let this be said very, very carefully. If you don't get your energy sector right, if you don't get the petroleum sector right, then you cannot grow your economy. Because these are the two key elements that facilitate, call them catalysts for economic growth and development.
Absolutely. Prof, we started on that note because of some of the things that we have seen. I mean, as regarding Nigerians, most people, we rely solely on the power sector to be able to operate very effectively. In some of those ministries, we have the National Electricity Regulatory Commission, TIRE, Do you think this commission are meeting up to standard? You know, when let's consider the telecom sector, when there are issues in relations to, let's say, telecom operations, you want to talk of
About
Nigerian
NCC,
Communications Commission. In broadcasting, we have Nigerian
NBC.
Broadcasting Commission. Do you think, in this regards, you know, when there were numerous issues with the band A, band B, band C, on the Twitter pages of these sets of people, what you see there is, we are sorry, we apologize, we didn't give you the supply. Do you think they are meeting up to their regulatory responsibility? Because very, very soon on the show, we are definitely going to get individuals from that sector to share their thoughts, if they are truly meeting up to the expectations of Nigerians in that regard. Tayo, what do you make of this?
The NERC,
Yes.
NAC, as they call it, but it's been that particular agency. So I don't really know exactly what's going on, because at some point, Gencos will come up and say we are not able to generate power electricity, and then this coast will say and then they will say, okay, we've been able to generate electricity, and this coast will come out and say we've not been able to get electricity from the Gencos. And they say they've not been able to generate it. And then we ask the question, what is the NEC doing per se? Who is regulating? Who is checking these guys? Because it seems more or less, like you said, like the petroleum sector also. You realize that so a lot of things are just going down. Nobody is checking people. We have powerful people, so to speak, in these two sectors. Very powerful people. And it seems nobody can check them. And then it makes those agencies look as if they are not doing anything. They are not doing anything, so to speak, to be able to hear, to listen to the yearnings of Nigerians. Because if they are really doing things, you won't come around and talk about some set of people selling meters when it's supposed to be given to every Nigerians for free. And then you ask NEC, what is NEC doing at this point in time? When meters are supposed to be distributed free, what is NEC doing about the issue of estimated billings? All of these things are up to, we need to check them, because they are the agency in charge of regulations, and then it seems they are not regulating anything as we speak.
Okay, thank you very much, Tayo, for your thoughts in that regards. Professor Wale Akiyemi, I'm so sure while you're coming to the studio this morning, you will see many Nigerians on queue in different filling stations. This has been an uprising issue in the last 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. And, you know, it's really been affecting a whole lot of things. For people to even move around, you know, they are saying a lot of things in that regard. The minister, Heineken Lokpebri, Minister of State, Oil, you know, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the Minister of Petroleum Resources. Tayo, you are smiling. And we have Ekperibo Ekpo, Minister of State, Gas. Professor Wale Akiyemi, why do we consistently or continually have this issue of back and forth with queues in our filling stations? Do you think the ministry needs an overhauling? I was reading numerous editorials, listening to expert thoughts and opinions. Many have said that the president must reshuffle, restructure to get things in the right perspective. Professor Wale Akiyemi, Nigerians are tired of this. Today, filling stations are opened, tomorrow they are locked. What is this ministry doing in particular? Mele Kyari has come to say numerous things to Nigerians, that they are working in the best interest of helping Nigerians. The refineries are there. None is working till date. There have been numerous dates that has been shared in this regard. Till now, Professor Wale Akiyemi, we don't have any working at this time. Dangote some months ago came out, some weeks, I beg your pardon, came out to say numerous things. The Malta crisis is there. Investigations are going by numerous quarters. Prof, Nigerians deserve the right answer. What do you make of this?
Nigeria is living behind time. It's unfortunate that we are talking about petroleum resources and using petrol as a source of energy, at a time when developing countries or developed countries are seeing it as an obsolete resource, and they are looking forward and coming up with alternatives. Let me tell you, since the dawn of creation, when God said let there be light, all the energy alternatives were there, but human beings have not developed the capacity to tap into them. So everything that you are tapping into now is just as a result of researches that people have been doing. All those things are there. The solar energy has been there from the dawn of creation. Wind is there from the dawn of creation. Water is there from the dawn of creation. And what do we have in Nigeria here? Because we are fortunate to have oil, we have forgotten about all these other possibilities. Instead of deploying technology to be able to maximize what nature has bestowed on us, we have not done that. It will shock so many Nigerians to hear that the volume of gas we have in Nigeria is even more than the oil, the crude oil. And Nigeria is positioned to earn more revenue even from gas. But for how many years have we been flaring off those gas until there is a deliberate policy by government now to do the CNG policy and the rest of it? So what I'm saying therefore is that some people, because of their selfish motive, are not developing Nigeria along the right path. At 2024, Nigeria should not be going through what we are going through now. Let me tell you, maybe most people don't know, but people that are car freaks, people who buy very expensive cars, they do know that there is a technology that when you use your car within the city, it consumes oil, but when it is traveling, it changes and it begins to consume less oil, and it will be moving, so that it brings down the oil that you consume. We have that technology. We have a technology where they are building roads that as you are driving the car on it, the road is charging that car. That is the way countries are moving, and Nigeria is here now talking about I'm sure the SUVs that they bought for all those legislators and the rest of it, they will be oil guzzlers. So we are not thinking right. We are not moving right, and it's unfortunate that the people that are leading us along this path are people who claim to have traveled the world, who claim to have the finest education around the world. And if you know how to do good and you refuse to do it, then you're a very bad person.
Tayo, let me have your thoughts in these directions. And, in the meantime, we'll open the phone lines for our callers to share their thoughts as regarding some of their experiences in relations to fuel scarcity in this city. Let's know what their take is. To be a part of the conversation, you can call the studio lines 0704 700 7999, 0704 700 7999, or you call 0805 388 8933. Let's know your take and, of course, your opinions as regarding some of those issues that we have raised. Tayo, while we expect call, let's hear your thoughts too in relations to this. Most nations of the world have moved past this, but in Nigeria, you keep seeing the scarcity. Filling stations open today, tomorrow you see long queues. Let's consider this area, Total Garden. There are about 2 NNPC filling stations in that route, and you see the long queue. Go to Idiakbe. These are some of the things that we have seen. What do you make of this?
It's just so sad that we found ourselves in this kind of situation. And then just like Prof said, we've been saying this time and over again about countries of the world, developed countries have moved beyond just fueling cars with petrol or whatever it is, or diesel or anything. We've moved to some advanced technology. So we've moved to some using solar, using electricity to power their vehicles. But then, be it as it may, we are still powering our own vehicles with petrol or diesel or whatever it is we are powering it with. And then we are producing, we said we are one of the top producers of crude oil in the world. And then we still find it difficult to even buy the crude oil that we produce. It's just so sad because even if you can't advance in technology, at least we should be able to make do with what we have. But it seems we are not doing enough as regards that. Petrol scarcity is on the eye. We don't have many people go to filling stations as early as 3 a.m. just to keep for fuel. The Akpa is just too far. Just come around Mokola here. You have 2 NNPC on these routes from Mokola to Songo. You see those 2 NNPC filling stations. You see a very long queue from what's the name of this place? Different, not too far from us here. You see queues moving down to veterinary. And they ask the question: should Nigerians be suffering when it comes to buying petrol? But it's just so sad that we have found ourselves in this situation at this time.
Prof, you listen to Tyre too, as regarding his thoughts as relating to this issue of fuel scarcity. We're underscoring the activities of the federal ministers and the ministries that they saddled a lot of activities in. Professor Wole Akinyemi, let's consider the issue with the Ministry of Interior under Tunji Ojo. There were some things that was made public as regarding some of the things that has been able to achieve, one of which includes innovative e-platform for visa processing, enhanced e-passport facilities abroad, advocacy for equitable salaries, then criminal justice reform and rehabilitation. I mean, these are some of the things that has been said in that regards, and you would say that he's one of the most performing ministers as we so speak in Nigeria today. But some of those things are just normal thing. You would recall the NIS, that's the cost, the immigration service. They've said that the cost of visa as international passport, I beg your pardon, has increased. Professor Wole Akinyemi, is this a step also in the right direction? And we appreciate, we've seen some of those things. Nigerians abroad can now do their visa. They can process all of these things through the e-platforms, the gateways as created by the ministry. And let's also underscore some of the activities of this ministry.
2 critical elements has helped Minister Bumi Ojo to perform and to keep performing. That is the orientation of the human capital in his ministry and deployment of modern technology. Those are the 2 things. I've always said that majority of the problems we have are human-made problems. The same set of people that were working under former minister Aregbesola, they were the same people that Bumi Ojo inherited. But he provided leadership. He said business cannot be as usual. And all the loopholes for corruption, he blocked it. He deployed technology. And he gave a very, very good example as a leader. That is the kind of thing that we want replicated in all the ministries. That is the kind of thing we want replicated in the presidency. That's the kind of thing we want replicated in all the states of Nigeria. That's the kind of thing we want replicated in the Federal Capital Territory. If that is done, then you now see how very fast this country will transform positively.
Tyre, let's also consider the Ministry of Youth and Sports. Report has indicated that we have greater percentages of younger Nigerians in this population. They are over 60%. Tyre, what would you say? Don't forget, the Ministry of Sports
is separate from the Ministry of Youth.
Is separate from the Ministry of Youth this time around. Putting this in perspective, what would you make? I'm asking you as a young Nigerian so that you share your thoughts in this regard.
Let's start with the Ministry of Sport. Just recently, Nigeria went to the Olympics. And then Nigeria is still at the Olympics now. The Paralympics is about starting. And then we're expecting more from them.
Really? More? Without?
We're expecting, because they didn't perform at the normal Olympics. So we're expecting...
With over 6 billion being funded.
The minister of sport have come out and he has apologized to Nigerians, and then he said it's not something he can do alone. He made some points known, and then he said sometimes sort of people working in some agencies, those that we are speaking, like I always say, it's not all about these people at the ends of affairs alone. We have some other set of people. We have sports commissions. What are these people doing? Just like Prof said, we don't need these ministers to be the alpha and omega. We just need them to create some platform of leadership, and then just say, okay, these are the things and these are wants, and then we need people to work with them. That's exactly just what we need. We spent over 9 billion naira for the Olympics, and we came up with nothing. And then it's just so sad, and it's ridiculous. There's countries that do not even spend as much as Nigeria spends. came home with medals. They went back to their various countries with medals. And then we just hope. And in terms of sport development in the country, I think we need to do more as regards grassroots sport in this country. It's not just all about us just coming all of a sudden when tournaments are coming, just try as much as possible to unpick some set of people to come and do few things. That's not what we need at this point. We need some level of bring people together at the grassroots level, and then let's move on, let's forge ahead. And as regards the Ministry of Youth, the constituency in which I fell in.
Yeah, we have two ministers.
Yeah, we have two ministers. We have the Minister for State and we have the normal minister. Me, I would always say, I don't know the whole essence of the Minister for State. We were talking yesterday. You made mention of a Twitter space where that you a part of.
Absolutely.
And then
there's no synergy.
There's no synergy between the two ministers. The Minister for Youth Sport, the Minister for Sports. The Minister for Youth States and the normal regular minister. And then he asks the question: are they not supposed to be working hand in hand? Are they not supposed to be working collaboratively to make sure that they deliver in that sector? But then it seems the Minister for State is doing something different, and the Minister for Youth is doing another thing entirely. The Minister for Youth normally is doing another, and is doing a different thing entirely. And that's a lot of questions. When is their job description not given to them? Check it over time. What are the youth initiatives this ministry has rolled out in the past 1 year? Okay, we've had the government officials coming out to say, okay, probably you do not know. We have a lot of this. It's our responsibility. We won't know from the blue that something is going on if they don't tell us.
But there are efforts made by NOA orienting Nigerians.
How many Nigerians? We've always heard that. How many Nigerians? If I go to the streets now, ask them about.
Don't forget Nelfund.
And we know
EFCC has also indicated that about 50 billion.
Is it the responsibility of EFCC to disburse 50 billion naira to Nelfund?
No. You know, the president during the address has said that some of the funds recovered through corruption via EFCC would be used to necessitate some of these activities.
And that's where the issue of transparency comes in. If we check it at the end of the day, we realize that this money has gone through some backdoor. Shouldn't there be a normal procedure that we go through? EFCC remit this money to so quarters. This is the quarters that would. What's the finance ministry doing? What's the CBN doing?
Of course, it goes through the finance ministry.
The CBN is saying they are the. I read in the news yesterday, and the EFCC is saying that they are the ones that will be giving Nelfund some certain set of money, from 50 billion naira.
They've disbursed
it to 50 to Nelfund. Is it supposed? Is this the responsibility of the EFCC for crying out loud? Let the EFCC remit all the money they've gotten from corrupt individuals. Let them remit it to appropriate quarters. It's not their responsibility. Let them do their own work. They are an anti-graft agency. Let them perform their duties squarely. They are not responsible for financing any sector in Nigeria. Okay. Let us get to that right.
Prof, before we go on this short break, let's take your comments in about 60 seconds about the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development in Nigeria. We have 3 individuals at the end of our affairs there.
You see, the problem with that ministry is the problem with many of the ministries we have, and that is, what is the actual need of the people and what is the perceived need of the people? It will appear as if these people, they have a disconnect with Nigerian youth. It will shock you that majority of the programs of government that they have rolled out, they are youth focused, but Nigerian youths are not even aware of it. Let me mention some of them to you. There is Nigeria Youth Academy. How many Nigerians are aware of that?
Nia. I am.
You are aware. That's because
you are in the media. You are informed. And we are talking about Nigeria, the majority of Nigerians.
But you know, they've been, Prof, let's also recall that there are several efforts made by, these ministries in that regards to ensure that many Nigerians get to know about this. We've seen in the news, they were sponsored on Twitter. Most Nigerian youths are on X. They see all of those things.
This was when the End Bad Governance protests.
But there have been efforts in that regards to keep Nigerians abreast of what the government is doing.
Then who is not doing? If someone is not doing his job, then let the person go. Nigerians are not aware. We're talking about people in the grassroots. They don't know anything. Go to the streets. We see young people.
But don't forget the Nelfund.
Yeah.
I can tell you before the End Bad Governance protest, 75% of people who applied for these are people from the north.
Exactly.
What do you make of this style? Because, in that regard, most of us in this part of the country are said to be so exposed, but we do not know. What's the problem?
It still boils down to the fact that people are not informed.
People are not informed.
Let me tell you, go up north. they have more or less like their traditional rulers, people going down to tell them, see, you cannot access student loan. No, go let your children go and access student loan. But who is telling people here in this part of the world? That's why we said we need local government to start working and performing optimally.
We will get there. We will get there. Prof, let's have your closing shot on that before we go on this break.
Kano State government sold uniform for some people, and they send them en masse abroad on scholarship to go. And how many southern states are doing that? The absolute truth of the matter is that these people, they know how to mobilize their people more than we do.
Exactly.
That is the honest to God truth. Most of our traditional rulers are self-serving. They are not doing what they ought to be doing. Instead, they are showcasing their wealth, their ill-gotten wealth. And that level of irresponsibility must be condemned by all of us.
Absolutely. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back just after this short time out. And, the next focus on the show this morning is underscoring the judicial system under Ariwola as now being under Kekere Eko. When we come, we'll look at some of the judicial reforms and activities that's happened in the judicial system as it relates to Nigeria. And don't forget that you would also have the opportunity to share your thoughts as regarding some of this issue. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.
The voice of integrity, 87.7 FM.
Oh no, these service providers. The other time my data disappeared. Last week my money was deducted when I didn't make a call. The other time...
Wait. Have you called NCC on 622?
Chedu works.
NCC 622 is the toll-free complaint line where phone users can lodge any complaints concerning their lines.
So, if they debit me for calls I did not make,
Call 622.
if they charge me higher than normal,
Call 622.
and if they...
For any issues that concerns your phone, call 622. But before you call NCC on 622, you must first call your service provider. It is only when they don't resolve your complaints, then you call 622. 622 line is open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day, excluding weekends and public holidays. Calling 622 is free. Take advantage of 622 to resolve your phone complaints. NCC, connecting Nigeria.
When it's bright and early, get your breakfast right. You need all the nutrients that will hold you tight. Stay in power, you find it all in Peak. Every move you make, Peak's got you all the way. And the beat goes on.
Power on every morning with our Peak Protein Breakfast to make the most of every day. Peak. Reach for your peak.
My brother, chase it like as you get suffer. My fellow confused people, I just come for you and I. Before you choke up, just
Life no suppose am like this, and that's now why millions of Nigerians they pay for everything with Momo. Dial *671# or download the new Momo app, make you follow enjoy this better life.
I will show you.
Junior, don't do that.
Sweetheart, no matter what you do, we show you love. So you can show more love to everyone.
Mom, how do you show more love to everyone? I will show you love. love.
Show some more love today with 4 more packs of your favorite Indomie noodles in Indomitable and Super Pack cartons. Also, each Indomitable pack is now 200 naira, while Super Pack is now 350 naira. So hurry now. Offer valid till stock lasts.
In news, talk, and music, Omoluwabi 87.7 FM is your best dial. Keep listening.
All right, you're welcome back from that short break. You know, just before we went on that break, we actually informed you that the next focus on the show would be on underscoring the judicial system under the former CJN Ariwola, now under Kekere Ekun. And we want to touchlight some of those activities. You know, just 2 days ago, there was an autobiography launched in honor of this man as a book titled Judging with Justice, the autobiography of Honorable Justice Olukayode Ariwola, and it was held at the International Conference Center, Abuja. It was also stated there that this man has done numerous things in that regard. As Chief Justice of Nigeria, His Lordship Justice Ariwola has used his vast experience and capacity to address the challenges facing the Supreme Court and the Nigerian judiciary system. You know, numerous things were also said in that regard as part of some of the things we could say were effort brought by this man, including an increase in the retirement age of judges and other judicial officers to 65, from 65 to 70 years. Also, the pensions of judicial officers have been fairly secured, as retired judges will now enjoy their full pay as their pension for life. Incisive judgments that provide intensive societal reforms, such as the one that recently liberated the local government councils from the shackles of financial lack, critical to our society's growth and development. And also described this man as someone who has been instrumental towards a lot of reforms in the judicial system. From humble beginnings at local authority demonstration school in Iseyin, Oyo State, to the launch of his career as a law officer at the Oyo State Ministry of Justice, and now as a leading figure in the judiciary. You know, numerous people have a lot to say about this man. Professor Wole Akinyemi, touchlighting and of course underscoring the judicial system under Ariwola. What would you make of this?
Justice Olukayode Ariwola will go down in history as one of the most effective and efficient Chief Justice Nigeria has ever had. The name Ariwola, something to do about the noise of wealth, you know, or you will see that he was involved with an election petition in Nigeria, because he was at the helm of affairs at the judiciary as the Chief Justice of Nigeria during the presidential elections, and we all know how tough that election was, both at the polling booths and in the court. In the courts, the Supreme Court played a very, very vital role in asserting the presidency of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The local government autonomy is one thing that is a watershed judgment that is going to impact on the politics and the economy of Nigeria, because it's bringing government right down to the grassroots. So there is no way they can talk about local government autonomy in Nigeria without mentioning the role of Justice Kayode Ariwola. Then there is the case of Emefiele. You know, you cannot forget that one very, very easily. There is a lot of confusion. At a time, the DSS was saying they were the ones that in case of Emefiele. Another time, EFCC was saying it was the judiciary that structured all of this. There were a lot of chaos, a whole lot of misunderstanding in that, people not even knowing their bands, some overstepping their band. I think the judiciary was able to step in and bring in, normalize the situation. Then appointment of capable people in the judiciary, not only in the Supreme Court, but even at the High Court levels. Justice Kayode Ariwola played a very, very prominent role. Then the restructuring of the judiciary itself in terms of the emolument. For once, under Ariwola, the staff at the judiciary, they have a 300% increase in the emolument. And of course, the retirement age was raised from 65 to 70, and there's so many other things. Those are the major ones that one can easily mention, but a whole lot of restructuring happened. And of course, that there were even physical development of the courts. New courts were built, they were digitalized, and more capable hands. Before, people used to write their judgment in longhand. They are still doing it, but at least they have deployed a lot of technology to make the system more efficient. But the one that is probably more controversial is the tussle on the throne of Emma of Kano. The judiciary played a very, very prominent role. There was the case of somebody who is not even in Nigeria, and then he ruled that the reinstatement of Lamido Sanusi was illegal. And of course, the Judicial Council had to step in. I think there were even attempts to discipline this judge, and not to bring the reputation of the Nigeria judiciary to disrepute. And I know that the judiciary has played a very, very prominent role in making sure that there is measure of sanity in Kano. So everything put together, I know that the Chief Justice of Nigeria does not appoint senior advocates of Nigeria, but is very, very influential to
who becomes the senior advocate
of Nigeria. So it's performed very well.
Absolutely. Tayo.
All right, let me start from the issue of Kano. There's been cases of conflicting court injunctions.
That's a controversial one there.
Several cases of conflicting court injunctions. You see a state high court coming on board to say, this is our stance on this. This is our judgment on this. And then you hear another court from another high court from the FCT coming out to give a different court injunction. And I think Justice Ariwola made this point known and made this stance known as regards this, saying maintain your lane. Whatever jurisdiction that we have, it's your jurisdiction. You are not, if you are not supposed to be involved in cases that deal with some states, do not interfere. And then he came on board and said, any judge or justice found guilty in this light will be severely punished. And then he said it's because it's embarrassing to the judicial system when courts give different court injunctions as regards just a certain case. And then he did well in that light. And then in the light of the local government autonomy.
Okay.
Many Nigerians are saying the judiciary they played a very significant role in that aspect too. They did very well as regards the issue of judicial local government autonomy, saying it was a judgment when many Nigerians are happy with the judiciary for once. They are happy with the judiciary, saying it was a good one, and then many of us too are saying probably we are moving towards the right direction as regards judgment being passed appropriately. He also talk about the issue of election tribunal, how cases were resolved very quickly, not spending unlike before where you have about 3 years. Someone will have spent about 3 years in office, and then a court injunction from the Supreme Court will just come and say vacate that office, and then we start again. That's why we have many off-season elections in Nigeria. But then we've been able to adjust that, and then it's been a very good time. Justice Ariwola is from Oyo State.
Yeah.
So in case you know, it's a son of the soil, and then we just congratulate him for a meritorious service.
Yeah. We also saw the acting governor of Oyo State present during the valedictory session had for him. And meanwhile, Attorney General of the Federation, AGF, and Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi-San called on attorney generals of states to advise their respective governors to obey the judgment of the Supreme Court, which granted financial autonomy to the local government councils. He made that known during the valedictory session held for the outgoing, the outgone, the outgone Attorney General of the Federation. You know, for Lateef Fagbemi to reiterate this, Prof, what do you think is on his mind?
Well, I'm sure the Attorney General, Lateef Fagbemi, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, must have observed that some governors are not happy with that judgment, and they want ways in which they can sidetrack the pronouncement of the court. And that is why it's reiterating the need for them to make sure. But I want the Senior Advocate of Nigeria, the well-respected Attorney General of the Federation, to do even more. There is some constitutional matter that needs to be addressed. The federal local government must be constitutionally recognized as part of federating unit of Nigeria. Because for as long as they leave this judgment hanging and did not take care of that legally, then some lawyers, some governors can use that loophole to say that, well, if the money is coming to me, I am the one to disburse it. I still have some measure of control over it.
Okay, let's also ask you, Tyre. Why do you think it's so difficult for Nigerians to abide by laws, by pronouncements of the courts? Why is it so difficult?
It's not just about Nigeria, and that's why we have various tiers of government. That's why we have the executive, we have
the legislature and the judiciary,
and we have the law enforcement agencies too. And that is the role of the law enforcement agency. An average human being naturally is a defiant, so
it can be recalcitrant.
Exactly. So definitely, so all of us want to have our own free will. We want to perform. I want to do things according to our own will, but then we have to have some certain set of laws and constitution that bind us from not doing some certain things. And even at that, people will still want to tend to deviate from the norm or from the laws, laid down principles of the society. That's why we have the law enforcers to come to do that. But then in Nigeria, who are the people in charge of the law enforcers? So many questions, many systemic problems going down in Nigeria.
Oh, moving forward to the new appointment of the the CJ head, Chief Justice of Nigeria, Kudrat Motomori Olatokunbo, CFR, born 7th May 1958, popularly known as Kudrat Kekere, is a Nigerian jurist and Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria, who has served as the Chief Justice of Nigeria since 22nd August 2024. She was appointed the Chief Justice following the retirement of Chief Justice Olukayode Ariwola. She's aged 66, and the retirement age for people now in this system is 70. That means by 2028 she would be leaving office. Professor Wole Akinyemi, what are the expectations or hopes of Nigerians with the new Chief Justice of the Federation? She also mentioned yesterday, that she was going to do a lot, that they should expect a lot of things that will be upheld as far as judicial system is concerned. She said restoring public confidence in the Nigerian judicial system is our own top priority. What do you make of this, Prof?
You have always said it, that great nations are built when we build institutions, not personality. I want to believe that Justice Kudirat Kekereekun, first let me start by congratulating her. It's a very exalted position and she's got to the peak of her career. So I want her to continue from where Justice Kayode Ariwola stopped, because I believe that they have institutionalized some very, very good things in the Supreme Court. She should build upon that and should take it from there. If you look at her background, you will see that this is somebody that has come a very, very long way, and she has worked very, very closely, even with Mr. President when he was governor of Lagos State.
Yes.
And he has passed through all the, starting from a magistrate to becoming a judge, High Court judge, right through the Supreme Court. So she's somebody that knows her onions, and she has handled some very, very landmark judgments in Nigeria here. So I believe our colleagues will have a whole lot of confidence upon her, and I believe that with the kind of connection that she has with Mr. Presidency, it will make her job easier, because whether we like it or not, relationship is very, very key. You use a relationship to leverage efficiency, and that is what I expect.
Absolutely. Tyre, We won't be able to take more on the show this morning. What will be your pattern shot to some of our listeners and of course Nigerians listening home and abroad this morning?
Like I wanted to say, and then I think the new Chief Justice Kudrat Kekiriyokun reiterated that yesterday, saying it's a collective responsibility. It's not just what someone can do. And just like Prof rightly said, we need to build our institutions. And then by building our institution, all of us have a role to play in that. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Prof, what will be your pattern shot on the show this morning?
Well, it's our country. We will have to build it together. We should